Senator O'Sullivan. Our next speaker, Senator Niall Donnghaile. You have 8 minutes. Go ahead.
Rwy'n the last Carly agus air to Fulcher Road. Treslium is a major to Ratchig, Rinch White and the Country Rome. Marasawer Shaw Garfedger and a in the Jarfak Faduda. Minister, you're very welcome to the Seanad, and I welcome the opportunity to engage with you in this role on the issue of tourism. And I wanted to begin, Minister, by in particular focusing in on the important and I think invaluable work that Tourism Ireland do to promote the country overseas. And I think they have the great beneficiary of being able to promote Ireland as a single entity overseas. So they're able to promote all of the great assets that have been mentioned thus far in all of their wonderful diversity, right up to promoting the Causeway, the Game of Thrones Trail, Titanic Belfast, the Peace Bridge in Aberdeen Square in Derry. And tourism for me is a glaringly obvious example of where Ireland works best when it works together. So I want to take the opportunity to commend the Chief Executive, Niall Gibbons of Tourism Ireland, and his staff, both here and indeed scattered all around the world, who do a fantastic job in drawing tourists and visitors to not just those big, well-known, iconic attractions, but also some of the more smaller, more authentic, dare I say, and I say that very respectfully, experiences that we have here right across the island. One of which, for me, and I'm going to get my plug in now, is our largest community arts festival, which takes place in West Belfast, Féile and Phobail, the programme of which was launched by the Taoiseach last week in St Mary's College on the Falls Road. And I would commend that festival to you, Minister. I have a copy of the Clár up in the office, so I'll make sure to leave it in your pigeonhole so you can get through it. And I'm sure I am not speaking out of turn when, on behalf of the organisers and management of Féile and Phobail, to extend you a very warm invitation to come to that festival and see what's on offer. And Minister, honing in really on an issue I think that cuts across briefs within the department that you're in. Recently we saw the launch of plans, joint plans, again, that connectivity and positive working together between TransLink and Iarnród Éireann, who outlined plans for the much talked about high-speed rail link connecting Belfast and Dublin, an hourly service that would reduce travel time to under 2 hours to around the hour and a half mark. I just wonder, Minister, if you've had any engagement with either of the organisations around the tourism benefits of that. And I believe the benefits are indeed much broader than tourism alone, but tourism, of course, is a central plank to any benefits that flow from it. So, Minister, if you haven't, you may consider doing that and having a conversation with both of the organisations to see, particularly given the impending threat of Brexit, that we have the infrastructure put in place, that we improve the infrastructure that has served us reasonably well up to this point, but we should be punching well above our weight, given all of the statistics that you have outlined in your own contribution there. We need to meet that demand, and we need to meet that demand with a world-class professional service that's being expected when people come to visit here. So I'd be keen to hear your view on that. I know the previous Minister for Foreign Affairs declared publicly on behalf of the government the support for the project, so I would like to see, or at least hear, about some movement in that regard. In conclusion, because I appreciate we're here kind of piece of mal and we're here a bit later than normal for a Tuesday, last Carly, but in conclusion, I would make the point that behind all of the fantastic and rightly proud statistics that we're able to recite in relation to the benefits of tourism on the economy and on our broader society, if you're working in the hospitality sector in this state and anywhere else, it can be a very precarious job. It can be a very unstable job. It can be a very low-paying job. And that's why I think it's important that we continue to lend our support to Senator Gavin's bill to make it illegal for employers to take the tips of people who are working in our hospitality sector. And that's just one measure that we could do, because I think we can all agree, and certainly I've had experience on this as a member of the board of Visit Belfast, and indeed my own time as Lord Mayor of Belfast, where I put a big emphasis on tourism within the city. You're absolutely right. We actually don't need the National Geographic or anyone else to tell us that our best tourism asset is our people. So I think if we're going to continue to provide that first-class service, if we're going to utilise our people as the wonderful tourism asset that they are, then we also need to care for them and look after them when they're working within that sector, and ensuring that it's a viable, sustainable career where people do have a good, decent living wage, where they do have the opportunity, as Senator O'Sullivan said, to bring new young people in to that industry. So I would just, I don't say this to be combative or confrontational. It's easy for us to hone in on solely the positives of this sector, and there are many, and I concede that. But there can be a darker edge to the industry that many workers are experiencing out there. So I would encourage us never to lose sight of that.
Thank you very much, Senator.
That could be perhaps replicated, Senator Donnghaile, in Northern Ireland as well. It may be something that would be very helpful to Northern Ireland Irish tourism. And also, of course, the rate of VAT in Northern Ireland is 20%, whereas ours is 9%. And again, that is something I feel certainly has been a huge contribution to our success, and it's something that I think could be looked at there as well. Just also, in terms of the contribution of Senator Martin Conway, I want to thank him for the very complimentary remarks. You normally only hear remarks like that at your funeral. Minister, almost a year ago now, they have been one of the most impressive agencies that I've seen operating. Niall Gibbons and Siobhan McManamy and their team are doing fantastic work, and they really are fantastic beacons for Ireland, for the island of Ireland. And one of the really positive things, amongst so many other positive things, to come out of the Good Friday Agreement has been the creation of Tourism Ireland. And it's only when you travel abroad with them and you see how many contacts they have all over the world, and the power of Tourism Ireland in terms of selling the island of Ireland. And also as well, I want to mention Maria Amelia is here as well from the department, who works closely on that work that Tourism Ireland is doing as well. And I'm very blessed to have fantastic people in my department working on that front as well. Maria and her team on the international side of things, and also we have very excellent people working on the domestic side in the department, working with the team in Fault Ireland, with Paul Kelly and his team as well. And I think they've got a very good balance going, and a very good synergy going there between both agencies, and of course working with Tourism Northern Ireland as well, who are doing their very best to grow the industry up there, and they're seeing excellent results in recent years. Just on TransLink, that is something that I will talk to Minister Ross to see what in relation to the public transport element of the department, what level of work that he has done on that. Of course, anything that assists in terms of cross-border tourism is really important. The area of the workers then, and the tips area, I was very dependent on tips myself for many years. I spent 7 years in hotels and 3 years behind bars, and I ran a bar myself for 3 years as well. And I was quite good at getting tips, actually, I was allowed to keep them. And actually, could I just say this? I mean, the whole idea of an employer keeping the tips off of the frontline people is soul destroying for the worker. It's scandalous. It is appalling. It is disgusting. And it's something that I would hope is very rare. But I'd be open to any proposals in terms of how we would stamp that out. It's not something that has been brought to my attention, and certainly, thankfully, in all of the places I've worked in over the years, I've seen nothing but a very positive treatment of staff in terms of giving people an incentive to work harder and to do more and to go that extra mile. But I would fear, certainly, that I'm sure there are some places where people, abuse the staff like that, and that is abuse of staff, if you ask me. Your strongest resource are your people, and it would be something that I would certainly condemn in the strongest possible words. Senator